Welcome back, superstar, to how to create a webinar that sells. This is part 10, how to deliver your webinar. Let's go. Now we're going to cover everything you need to know about how to show up and deliver your webinar for maximum impact. I'm going to talk about what to wear, lighting, background, hosting, technology. There's a lot going on here. We might have to split this into 2 videos. Let's see where we go. So first things first, let's look at this from the attendee perspective, right? The attendee has registered, they've been getting reminders, they've got a text message, they're excited, you've done that stick sequence that gets them to show up. Now they're here, they've clicked the link and they've arrived at your webinar. Now, you wanna make sure that you are mindful of that initial experience, which means make sure that when they arrive, that what they see is in alignment with your brand. Make sure that you're logged into Zoom and that people are arriving into a waiting room that has a beautiful image and maybe even has some music playing. Make sure there's a message that says, welcome, we're so excited, the webinar will be starting soon. There's nothing worse than arriving into a webinar and being like, am I in the right place? Is anybody here? Is this the right thing? You know, all that. So make sure that it's really clear that something's happening and to help them get even more excited about it, right? So you want to energize people and get them looking forward to what's coming. So I would have that running and open from about 10 minutes before the webinar. So you're inside the webinar, they're outside the webinar in some sort of waiting space. What you're doing in the meantime to get ready for the webinar is getting into state, meaning getting into an energized, positive, excited state. Make sure that you've tested out all your technology well in advance. You do not want to be stressed out and trying to figure things out at the last minute. Make sure that you finished your slideshow or your presentation the night before. You don't want to be, futzing with all of that stuff while people are waiting for you, okay? So you want to be in a positive energy state. I like to do a beautiful meditation before I do any sort of webinar, before I speak. I always get super present, engaged. I do heart-opening exercises. I do things so that I feel good because I know that I am transmitting that energy to my guests. Also, pay attention to what you're wearing, how you look. Dress up. It's your webinar, so you should be the best dressed person there. Look the part, make sure your hair looks good, your makeup, that you're coiffed, or, you don't have to look like me, right? You don't want to look like somebody else. Look like you, but the best version of you. And to that end, you want to also make sure that the setting that's around you looks beautiful too. Even if you have slideshow, even if you have slides, there are going to be times when you're doing Q&A, when you're putting on and off your slideshow at the beginning and end, where you may be on camera fully. So make sure that you have a nice setup. Make sure that there's not too much space. I've seen people that have that they're at the bottom third of their screen and then the rest of the thing is empty. Center yourself on your screen, make sure you look good and that you have lighting on your face and that you have a beautiful background. That could be as simple as putting up, a background that you can buy on Amazon. They have these beautiful, different brick backgrounds and floral backgrounds. Simple is fine, but you don't want to see your doorway or your bathroom behind you or your bed or a big neon exit sign in a public space. I also recommend being somewhere quiet, somewhere private, so that you don't have to wear a headset. If possible, if you have a nice microphone, so you have really good sound both for the recording, for the webinar, and for the recording. These are things that you would think everybody would think about, but I've been to enough webinars to know that not everybody actually does. Now, before I continue with my litany of things to do, I want to invite you to take a moment and subscribe to my channel. Please like my video and let me know if you have any questions below. Another thing to be thinking about is the camera and the camera angle. I've seen people who want to look younger and thinner that they put the camera up here, or people that put the camera down here, which is not flattering for anybody. I recommend having your camera at eye level so that you're straight on with the camera. And another thing you'll want to do is during your webinar, it can be very tempting to stare at yourself the whole time. And what I would recommend doing instead is to stare right in the camera. It makes a big difference because people will feel like you're looking at them in the eyes, just like I'm looking right now into a camera, and it feels like I'm talking to you, and that's because I'm being very intentional about looking there instead of over to one side at the monitor. Don't put yourself in front of a window because then you're going to be backlit and you're going to look dark. Or if you do have a window behind you, make sure that you're filling in with lights in front of you. Another thing you'll want to do is enroll somebody in being your webinar host. Yes, you are the host or you are the person delivering the webinar, but it's very helpful to have a sidekick, a right-hand person who's monitoring the chat for you, who's just keeping tabs on everything for you. Someone who's a co-host so that they can mute people or they can let people in from the waiting room or they can start and stop the recording or they can, any number of things. One thing you'll want them to do is to monitor the chat in case there are some really good clarifying questions that they think you might want to answer in the moment. One thing you might want to do is arrive early and maybe even open the room early and just start to create rapport with people. Ask people where they're from, where did they first meet you, where did they find out about you, how did they learn about this webinar. This is just a great way to start building energy and creating community while you're waiting for people to show up. It creates energy to say like, oh, welcome, Katie, where are you joining us from? And Susan, so nice to have you here. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. So that helps to create more social proof that there are people in the webinar. I do not recommend, by the way, faking that. I feel like people can tell if you're not being authentic, all right? One thing that's really beneficial and helpful in your webinar is if early on you really get people engaged, because that means that throughout the webinar, what I recommend doing is throwing out a few calls to engagement. For example, you're talking about something, asking people, hey, are you getting this? Is this making sense for you? How is this landing for you? And by doing that again and again, you're going to start to get quotes. You're going to get feedback from people that you can then use in your webinar follow-up sequence, which we're going to talk about in the next video. So it's really good to get people sharing their experience. Oh, I'm loving this. This is the best webinar I've ever been to. Oh my God, I never knew that. That's so interesting. These are all really great quotes that you'll use that will help you get people who didn't show up on the webinar to watch the recording. So I think it's a great idea early on to encourage people to share and to engage. And not only does it help you with the follow-up sequence, it also helps you in the moment, because the more engaged they are, the less likely they are to pop off, especially when you start making your offer. Okay, my last piece of advice is that this is all about making your offer, right? You're delivering value, and yes, you want to help people, and you're doing this webinar because you want to sell something. Be really clear about when you're going to transition to the sale. Do not go over on your webinar content and then give yourself less time for the offer. I highly recommend giving yourself a nice, spacious amount of time to make your offer. And I recommend, as I've said before, do your offer and then do the Q&A. So throughout the experience, you're reminding people, hey, save that question for the end, or oh, I'll talk about that in our Q&A. Oh, remember, if you've got any questions, I'll be doing a Q&A at the end of the call. So you're promoting the Q&A because that's going to keep them there. And you want to make sure that when you finish your content, you remind people, hey, in a moment, I'm going to start doing the Q&A. But before I do that, I want to share this special offer with you. That will make sure that more people stay on for the offer instead of saying, oh, well, the content's over, I'm going to hop off. All right, I hope this video was helpful for you. We have now covered our what to do inside of the webinar. Now we're going to dive into what to do after the webinar to tie it all up and follow up and put a big old bow on it.